Hi everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. Today we are going to do my final reading vlog for the month of February, and I'm so excited because you know what that means. Wrapping up my Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon. Now this is the moment where I ask all of you that are over on my Discord that are taking part in this lovely challenge to post all of your cozies with the prettiest cover. We have had an amazing time doing this Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon, and I just want to take this moment to thank each and every one of you for getting involved. First of all, I have determined that a novella that I read earlier this month is going to take the slot for prettiest cover. Right down there. And that would be this book, Criminally Coco by Amanda Flower. I just think this is a really beautiful cover. All of the covers in this Amish Candy Shop series are just adorable and definitely works for that prompt. But now let's talk about the books that I did read in this past week, the 21st to the 28th of February 2022. Before I tell you what that book was though, I ended up finding out that there is actually a novella that comes first. So a 0.5 novella, if you will. So that is the first book that I read, the novella for the Vampire Knitting Club Cozy Mystery series, and that novella is this novella, Tangles and Treason by Nancy Warren. This novella makes a whole lot of sense as to why it was created, being that the word vampire is in the title of this series. It makes sense that we have vampires in the series. This novella kind of explains how one of the characters that we end up seeing in the first book became a vampire. I wouldn't necessarily call this a cozy mystery though, because to me there wasn't really much of a mystery that went on in this book. It was just more of a backstory. Here is how this particular character that you're gonna see, not necessarily follow, but see in book one became the vampire they are. In saying that, I just found this book to be absolutely amazing. Honestly, I would call this book seductively enticing. I enjoyed each and every moment with it, and I think the only flaw for this book, for me personally, was that it was so short. Being a novella, you do expect that, but I loved it so much, I just wish it was longer. I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I didn't find any fault to it at all. The main character that we follow in this book is Rafe. As I say, Rafe comes up in book number 1. In the novella, the 0.5 novella, Rafe starts off as a human and eventually becomes a vampire. We find out who, what, where, when, how, all those answers to all those questions, and I just really enjoyed it. So I am not going to be using this book as one of the prompts for my Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon, but I'm including it here because I did read it and I absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it, but I do warn you, don't go into this book thinking it's going to be a traditional cozy mystery, because it wasn't as far as I was concerned. I would more take it as just a paranormal novella. So after I'd read the novella, I was more than ready to get on to the first book in the series. Not only was I more than ready, but I was incredibly excited to get onto the first book in the series, considering how well that novella went. So the next book indeed that I did pick up was this book, The Vampire Knitting Club, book 1 in the Vampire Knitting Club series. In this book, we are following a different protagonist, as I alluded to earlier. We are following a woman by the name of Lucy. Now, Lucy's mother and father are traveling abroad. They have the type of job that's what they do, and they don't really feature that much. In fact, her father doesn't feature at all in the first book, and we only get small glimpses of her mother here and there. But Lucy ends up traveling from America to the UK, where her grandmother lives. Her grandmother runs a knitting shop. Unfortunately, when she arrives at Grandma's knitting shop to find out that Grandma does not seem to be there. She goes next door to a tea shop that she used to go to all the time when she visited her grandmother, only to find out from the store owner over there that she knows quite well that her grandmother actually passed away 3 weeks ago and no one was able to contact her, which is incredibly unfortunate. Now, we do find out that Lucy ends up inheriting the knitting shop, which completely throws her for a loop because she has nothing to do with knitting. In fact, she is a self-confessed terrible knitter and has no idea why her grandma would leave it to her rather than her mother, let alone leave her a knitting shop, something that she has no interest in. But she ends up finding out that her grandmother wants her to, as part of the will, wants her to run the shop for at least a year before making any rash decisions. So she decides to do this. There are a lot of other things that do happen along the way, but I don't want to spoil too much. What I will say, however, is this book did go back to being a traditional cozy mystery, following the traditional cozy mystery template. There is a murder mystery that we're trying to solve, although it is very different to what I thought it would be, but the mystery doesn't really prop up until halfway through the book, and that's why I don't really want to spoil it for you at this point, but I do want to warn you that it is one of those books where it does take until halfway through for that mystery to prop up. Honestly, overall, I was really disappointed with this book. After coming off of such an amazing novella, as I said, it was so seductively enticing. I could not wait to start book one, but the fact that book one reverted back to your standard cozy mystery template that I honestly have read over and over, time and time again this month, it just kind of annoyed me that the novella would be so good and book one really just wasn't as good as far as I was concerned. Now, I came to find out after reading book one that book one was released in 2019, the novella 0.5 was released in 2021. So I assume Nancy Warren was just going back and trying to answer fan reader questions about how Rafe became a vampire. And I understand that, and that's fine, and I guess I should be making allowances for that, considering that she wrote the novella 2 years after she released the first book in the series. But in saying that, I think what disappointed me the most was the lack of paranormal activity in comparison to the novella itself, and I just wish that there was more. In saying that, I'm not saying that I didn't like the paranormal activity that occurred in the book, because quite honestly, the paranormal activity that occurred in the book was the feature of the book as far as I was concerned. I did not really enjoy the mystery side at all. In fact, the whole point of the whole mystery just really didn't work for me. The reason we're investigating this mystery in the first place just did not work for me. The victim in this case just did not work for me. The reveal just did not work for me. And, well, the knitting stuff really didn't work for me either, but I think that was more that it just wasn't brought up enough. Was it brought up? Yes. Was it brought up more than other things that go on in certain professions in cozy mysteries? Yes, but I still just don't think it was done enough. But the paranormal side I really did enjoy, and so I'm umming and ahhing over whether or not to pick up book 2. Ultimately, I gave this book 3 stars, and we'll see how we go, but it's definitely going to help me cross off the paranormal prompt from my Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy Reads Readathon. And now, as you can see, I have crossed those off the list, which leaves me just with one, which is the Cozy by an author you have read before. Despite the fact that it has 1 slash there, I did that slash by mistake. So the final book that I read this month was this book, A Murderous Macaron by Fiona Grace. This is the second book in the Beachfront Bakery mystery series. I thought the mystery aspect was fantastic, unlike the Vampire Knitting Club. I really enjoy our amateur sleuth a lot, and her name is Alison Sweet, and I really enjoy her as an amateur sleuth. She's one of those that she won't quit until she works out what's going on. I enjoyed everything about the mystery. It was the exact opposite to me of the Vampire Knitting Club. I really enjoyed and appreciated who was murdered. I can say this much. The person that was murdered, it was a YouTube celebrity. And because of this, Fiona Grace was able to take ample opportunities to discuss random facts about YouTube that not even I knew. And I've been floating around YouTube with videos, honestly, for about 5 or so years, if not more. I've been on booktube for 2 years, but I was doing other videos on YouTube prior to my booktube stuff. So there were things I didn't even know that really surprised me. I got to certain points where I was stopping in the book after a fact would be dropped from Fiona Grace going, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. So I really appreciated that. And I just love the mystery all in all. I felt that the culinary side of it could have been kicked up, well, not just a notch, but quite a few notches. I felt that the culinary, because this is a culinary cozy, I felt that the culinary aspects really did fade into the background, and we maybe had a couple of culinary scenes here or there, but it was incredibly minimal. So if you are someone who doesn't like a culinary cozy usually, then I still recommend this book because it's really glossed over the culinary side. But in saying that, I enjoyed the murder mystery side of it so much that I gave it 4 stars. And as you can see now, every single prompt has been fulfilled for my Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon. So there you go. Now this is of course a reading vlog, and I do like to show you what I'm going to be getting up to reading wise for the week to come. So I will give you that preview in just a moment. But before I do, I just once again want to thank everyone who got involved with the Cozy It Up with Mr. Francy readathon. You guys were just amazing. I honestly didn't know how many readers were going to join me on this journey because there were so many readathons that were going on in February that I thought, I really don't know if anyone will join me, but a lot of you did, and thank you very much. Thank you to my beautiful Discorders, Sparkle, who have been updating me pretty much daily, letting me know where they were at and how many prompts they had fulfilled, if they'd gotten a bingo or a blackout. I had so many that or have already achieved a blackout, which is fantastic. And the month technically is not over at the time of filming in America. It is in Australia. It's the 1st of March right now. It's quite early in the morning, but it's still technically the 1st of March here. But you guys have done amazingly well. So it is now time to post up those cozies with the prettiest cover, and I cannot wait to see them. But now what we're going to do for the rest of this reading vlog is I am going to talk about what I'm going to be reading for the week to come. So the first book that I'm going to be reading during this first week of March 2022 is a book I've started, Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. This is the 3rd book in the, almost said the wrong name there, in the Twilight Saga series. I have the first 2 right up here. And I really enjoyed them. I read them last year, and I had already read them before, but I had not read them since creating my booktube channel. So I decided to do that last year to see if I felt differently about it since the last time I'd read them. And in fact, I felt after reading the first 2 even more strongly about them. And I just think that Stephanie Meyer is just such a captivating author for me, and I just loved the first 2 so much that I decided, you know what, I'm definitely going to read the entire series. So this is book 3. I have already started reading it. I am currently there. Do you guys have any idea how amazing it is for me to sit here in a reading vlog with you guys and show you physical books? This is so good. Because for the majority of February, I've been putting them up on the screen. Now I can actually physically show you where I'm up to. So as I said, we've just gotten to the 1st of March, so I did start early. I am there, not too far in, page 31. I'm up to the 2nd chapter, and I'm already really enjoying this book. I love being back in this world. It has been a whole lot of fun for me, and I can't wait to update you guys on what I thought about it at the end of the first week of March. Now, the second book that I'm going to be reading in the first week of March is a buddy read that we are doing over on my Discord, and that will be a book that was recommended to me by my dear friend Jessica from Lady Lovestead Reads. At the end of January, I celebrated my 2-year anniversary on booktube. 2 years, and we are still going strong. It's amazing. I asked my booktuber buddies to recommend some books to me in honor of the occasion. My dear friend Jessica from Lady Lovestead Reads recommended this book, and enough people voted for it over on the Discord that it not only became a book I'm going to be reading, but it became a book that a number of us are going to be buddy reading together, which is really exciting. And that is this book, Winter House by Ben gute sind. So these are the two books that I'm going to be focusing on in the first week of March 2022. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it. I hope you guys had an amazing February 2022, regardless of what you read. And if you are going to be buddy reading Winterhouse with me, let me know in the comments below. Also, while you're down in the comments section, leave a sparkly heart emoji and let me know what you are looking forward to reading in the first week of March 2022. Letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, happy reading!